Korea, always quick to respond to changes, offers countless opportunities for investment. What's it like for foreign invested companies based in Korea? Curious to find out? A three-part series on digital transformation, carbon neutrality, and new industries. This is Invest Korea Alive. On each episode, we will be joined by a guest from a foreign invested company in Korea and share with you inside stories of what it's like to work in Korea. Does your company have plans to enter the Korean market? What will it be like in Korea? Find out now on Invest Korea Alive. Hello and welcome back to our show, Invest Korea Live. I'm your host, Shin Ah-young. Our show is a three-part series covering three themes: digital transformation, carbon neutrality, and new industries. So we talked about the two industries, digital transformation, carbon neutrality. So today's show is about new industries. How exciting, right?
Excited. Very excited. New industries.
Right. So, Andreas, when you think of new industries, what immediately comes to your mind?
I immediately think of industries that are not old.
Okay, that's one way to
So,
approach the
like,
subject. Okay.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. I'm also thinking about, renewable energies.
Renewable energy, yeah, that's pretty new.
Actually, these days, I know batteries are kind of a big issue. Because, we have electric vehicles and all that stuff. So I imagine that falls under the category. Am I getting close or?
Yeah, you're very warm. Somebody's done their homework, right? The writers wrote it. Okay, so today we'll be joined by guests from two foreign invested companies that are leading the battery industry, like Andreas mentioned, and the future car industry. Mr. Handi Cheandi from Umicore and Mr. Daniel Voschlager from Vitesco Technologies. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, we're so glad to have you here. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Handi. I came from Indonesia. I came actually in 2015 to do my PhD in nanoscience and technology.
PhD. Wow.
Yeah, it's permanent head damage, by the way. Sorry. Okay, by the way, I did my PhD in nanoscience and technology, and I've been working with Umicore for about a year and then some. I'm working at right now is the rechargeable battery industry. And here I'm basically working as a product technology manager and bringing stuff from the small scale into the bigger scale.
Wow. Are you also familiar with the engineering component of the product that you're working with?
Yes, in a way.
Because you have to know how to.
I have to know. It's not an option anymore.
Wow,
Right.
Incredible.
So I know Umicore is the world leader in cathode materials,
Yeah.
but I don't know what cathode materials are. So could you please tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically, in a battery, there are several different components, and the two of the bigger one is the anode and the cathode. And the cathode is basically the material that makes your car or your phone goes vroom vroom.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
It's very important. They store your electricity into your batteries. That's how they are.
I've got a lot of questions, so I can't wait.
Okay. Then let's hear a little bit about you, Mr. Daniel Voschlager.
Oh. Yeah, so my name is Daniel Wollschläger, and I'm from Germany. And I was moving over since 4 weeks now, coming over from China to Korea. And I'm heading the global purchasing team for high voltage drives within Vitesco Technologies.
So you work for Vitesco Technologies, right?
Yes.
Have you heard of this company before, Andreas?
Yes, something related to automobiles, right? Am I getting close?
You're right, yeah. I mean, you were talking before about old industries when you are thinking about it, when you hear the word. So we are an international leader in electric drive systems. We are an independent stock-listed company, and we are aiming also right now to grow faster than the market. So very exciting times, I think. And if you look also in our product portfolio, I mean, we are covering really the wide range of electric drive systems. So coming from 48 volt electrification technologies, about electric drives, power electronics, for hybrid and for battery electric vehicles. And electric controls or sensors and actuators, and also solutions for exhaust after treatment. So we are really covering the wide range of what you need
Wow.
to make this transformation.
Wow. Interesting.
This is all very new.
Yeah. Yeah, so totally. Because I mean, conventional drive systems have all relied on fossil fuels and other forms of thrust, essentially. But now everything's moving towards electrical. Am I right? Or
You are right, and I mean we have the battery expert sitting here, so he knows how this is working.
yeah, and I'm also curious to know what other resources are being used in order to kind of push the market that moving away from fossils and more to a more sustainable, renewable energy sources, be it, I don't know, hydrogen or electric. So I'm curious to know what your input is later on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give us a little bit of like a walkthrough what your days are like?
Yeah.
And what's your overall experience working in the company in Korea? That's all for the program.
Yeah.
Can we start with you, Danny?
I mean, coming from our mission, which is powering clean mobility, and I think this really phrase it. It's also powerful to work in this company, and you feel it also in the teams. That the people are motivated and they like to work in this transition. So I would say I really enjoy every day working in this company.
It's interesting. You work for an energy company and everybody's so energetic. It kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, the prerequisite. You need to have that. So you've spent, of course, I imagine you started this position first in Germany, and then you began the traveling to other countries?
Yeah, perhaps I can explain a bit. So, I mean, we are in a transformation in the whole industry, in the automotive industry, and from our footprint, our main activities were driven out of China in the last years, because there we started more or less in the whole automotive industry. They were very fast in pushing this, also from the government, and this is why the position is a global position, so I work with a global team across the globe, but for sure you have regions where this growth is coming faster, then you have other regions which are following. So, and this is why out of this global role I was located in China, and now with also gaining big success in the Korean market, I decided to move over to Korea and doing the job here out of Korea.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right. So you saw more potential here in Korea?
Yes, so right now it is clearly like this, that Korea has a tremendous potential, I would say, in this transformation.
Very cool. Very interesting. What about you? How's been your experience? Because I imagine you also spent some time before working in Korea, spent some time living somewhere else, and now, I don't know if it was Indonesia or somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different because I actually used to have a lot of part-time job in Indonesia, and I do some internship in other companies like Google or Microsoft, for example. But the work culture is very different compared to, well, in Korea in general.
How so?
You know, in Indonesia, people are typically more relaxed, laid back. They do their job, of course, but they are not very high motivated, highly goal driven. But in Korea, whenever I first came to Korea and I work here, it's like, oh, everyone is so motivated, everyone was so eager to get their goals. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how, even though they are working really hard, sometimes you can see the wilder side of Korean people.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
What does the work week look like you and compared to when you're working in Indonesia? Like, is it a standard 9 to 5? You go to office? What is it? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, typical hour is almost the same. We in Indonesia do 9 to 5, but here in Korea 9 to 6, 1 hour difference. But in technicality, we do more than that.
Okay.
Because not because we not enjoy it, but because we like what we do in
Yeah.
company. So we are motivated to reach our goal and targets. But after that, for example, on the weekend we do
Let
also
loose.
have fun hard. Yeah.
Right. So what's your colleagues like in Umicore?
Well, most of the people that I met in Umicore are very passionate of their works. They love what they're doing. They are very how do I say, concerned, and they are very how do I say,
Caring?
caring. Yeah, they care of our work. They care of our colleagues, and they basically try to make our work environment as good as it is. So whatever we are doing there, we are making people feel comfortable
Right.
while
right.
working really hard. Yeah.
And do you have, so among your colleagues, I'm curious, do you interact a lot with Korean colleagues or are they Indonesian and German colleagues? I'm curious. So are your colleagues, Danny, are they?
Yeah, I mean, as I was explaining before, yeah, out of the global role, I have a very international team. Yeah, so I would say I have each and every culture in. Yeah,
Wow.
for sure. Now moving over to Korea, I have to deal more with the Korean people also because we are growing the organization here, yeah, and we want to set up something. Before I moved over, I was not so clear that Koreans can be very direct. And I feel I got this feeling, or I learned this already, that they can also tell you very direct.
Oh,
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
I would have imagined the opposite to be true because I don't know, my experience working with Korean colleagues, sometimes there's a protocol, like a process where you go around and 돌려서 말하기 is called in Korean, where you it's like a side chatting. I don't know.
I think it's an effort to be more polite. It's
Right,
like,
right.
you know, if you don't mind, if you have the time, you know, can we ask you to maybe change what you're doing?
I mean, they're not necessarily not polite though, but they do speak up their mind and
Especially when you work,
That's
though,
good.
Yeah.
and especially when you're in the industries that you're in,
right.
it's probably not very efficient to be
Exactly.
polite.
Yeah.
You know?
around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, no? Because I think it should be also in the company DNA that the people stand up and tell what they want or how they see the topic. And I think we as a foreign company perhaps can also motivate the people more in this direction.
Sure.
Because I think the traditional Korean companies, they are thinking in another way, coming
true.
from the...
I agree with that. Yeah.
Right.
I agree. And what about you? Dealing with Korean colleagues, are there any obstacles that you run across, maybe on a daily basis or not?
To be honest, one of my biggest problem is the language. Because whenever I first joined Umicore, I was actually super nervous because I will be working with mostly Korean colleagues, the engineering team and the science team. And they are mostly consist of Koreans. And I'm not very confident with my Korean. So in the beginning, communication is a little bit of a
It's
tough. Nerve-wracking situations, but after a while, a lot of my friends, my colleagues are helping me, push me study more Koreans, and now I'm okay. I'm living life.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about work. We talked about, having fun and enjoying yourselves in Korea, but, I can imagine workplaces changing rapidly, and especially because of the pandemic, we're rethinking our future and trying to reshape the supply chain, right? So your companies are leaders in the future car sector and battery sectors. So could you tell us a little bit about your company's future direction for growth?
As a company, Umicore is a leader in the battery material, right, the cathode material. And to be honest, right now, if you see, everything around us is basically electronics, right? Your phone is a computer, your car is a computer, and your house, if it's not a computer, then soon will be. And every single of those computers and electronics basically have something in common. It's the battery. They have the battery as their equivalent components in all of them. And with the growth of the technology, and so does the importance of the battery itself in our social economics point of view, right? And we can actually see the growth of the battery industry quite substantially in the coming futures. And also, not only that, we will also be able to see the quite substantial growth in the rechargeable battery industry for medium and large electronic storage facilities.
What about the future of the future car industry? I feel like the question is redundant because future is in there twice. But
I mean, if you see this decade is clearly marked with a shift to future mobility, which is electric drive systems. And this you see also in the global awareness about air pollution, about global warming. And I think the only answer to come over from the automotive industry with this is doing an electrification of the drive systems. So right now, this is a clear shift in the mobility. And as long as individual mobility is concerned, the clear answer is that the future has to be electric, and that the automotive drive system needs to be electric.
Right. But I mean, because of the pandemic, didn't the sales of global cars, like, didn't it drop substantially?
I mean, you can see it also in the numbers. Yeah? In spite of we had the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, we had the semiconductor crisis in the automotive industry, which is still a bit ongoing. And I mean, but you saw, if you compare, for example, in the European Union, the new car registration figures, it was in 2020, it was 10% and then went up to 18% in 2021. So that means that's a growth beside all these negative influences we have. And this shows clearly that we are going in this direction. So there is an acceptance in the market.
Very interesting. So yeah, I don't know enough about drive systems, and I wonder if this also applies to artificial intelligence in terms of managing the drivetrain and managing the course. Do you also handle artificial systems and implement those to the driving systems?
So for sure, as a pioneering company, we are also working in this direction, because the answer or the key to be successful in the market is that you need to pioneer. And in an electric drive system, you can also combine with such things. So these are directions where we have to look in also. But as we are in this transition phase right now, for sure there will be in the future other product solutions which perhaps look different to now. But as a pioneering company, you have to go in this direction.
Right.
And does Korea also, do you think, what is Korea's strength, and what can they offer you in this environment, in this workforce environment? What can it offer that other countries can't?
Yeah, I mean, the Korean market on the customer side, to be honest, there are not so many customers. But the Korean automotive car manufacturers, they go a strong direction into electrification. And this is where we want to participate, where we also want to help them to transform, where we want to bring our knowledge in, our pioneering products. And this is a benefit we can gain. And on the other hand, we are helping them to shape this transformation.
Because they want to be, want to learn new systems.
I'd like to add on a little bit onto that. You said that there aren't a lot of demand from the consumer side. So speaking from my personal experience, I drive a gasoline-powered car. But in my defense, it's a 5-year lease.
That's the defense?
No.
Is it at least a hybrid car? Because electric drive system does not only mean pure electrification with battery electric vehicles.
That's the thing. I feel guilty driving my car because
As you should.
I'm more environmentally conscious. I don't want to harm the environment.
Right.
But I cannot not drive my car, but my car is gasoline powered. But I did consider buying an electric car, but
You considered it. That's very nice.
there's not
It's a start.
There's not enough chargers, and I hear all these horror stories about one extreme example is a car bursting because of a malfunction in the system. I don't know, electric system. Or I don't feel comfortable not driving my car. I don't feel comfortable letting a machine drive my car. So how do you plan to solve this dilemma? It's I do want to drive an electric car. I'm just not 100% confident in its abilities.
Yeah, you're bringing up some good points.
It's a fair point.
Charging stations and things like
Yeah.
that. But I think, does that enter your scope, Danny, when it comes to?
I mean, talking about autonomous driving is not in scope now. So we are really talking about the electrification of the drive system.
I mean, is it
But
safe?
but there, I mean, I can personally convince you that it is nice. Right? You have to drive an electric car, and you will see if you start,
Okay.
you will be faster than any gasoline.
Sure.
Okay.
But in terms of the stations, I agree with that.
Yeah, they're not enough.
But I think that's one thing where also the government needs to support, I think, to build up the infrastructure also, because otherwise you will not make this change happen. Yeah? Because I think the behavior of the people itself, you must be also supportive and push them a bit to go this direction.
And in Germany, does the German government kind of provide incentive for companies and also provide incentives for companies to build those stations and to lean more on the electrification of driving?
For sure, there is also a push in the German government to support companies going in this direction. And I mean, you see by itself, if you see the legislative, because there we have stronger regulations also, which are also pushing companies to go in this direction and making this happen.
Sure.
I feel like in Korea, if you have that, there's this little hurdle, and if you overcome that hurdle, I feel like the future car industry is set for rapid growth.
Yeah.
It's just my
Good
opinion.
point.
Yeah. But there's that minor hurdle that I mentioned, which is, I guess, that's homework for you.
Yeah, but I mean, I was mentioning before, if you see globally, there is a shift in the mindset.
Definitely.
So the numbers are growing in getting these cars on the street. So.
Okay, since you mentioned a shift in mindset, let's talk about ESG activities of Umicore and Vitesco Technology. Who'd like to start? Handi, do you want to go?
Sure. For Umicore as a company, we have a sustainability in our DNA. And we are trying to reach the net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2035. And also, we are trying to increase diversity, whether it be gender, age, or diversity of thought. And we are trying to have a zero inequality in our company. And also, we are trying to be more concerned, to be more caring of our colleagues. And we are trying to establish a very friendly workplace in our company, which basically we are trying to get to our target with the manners that leave zero regrets in the way.
Zero regrets. I like
Zero
that.
regrets. Exactly.
Nice.
Okay. What about it at Vitesco Technology?
I mean, beyond the products I explained to you already before, we as a company are actively driving this along the complete value chain. And we have a Direction 2030, in which we have also one claim in which is called Driver of Sustainability. And this clearly shows you that we want to go this direction. We are also recently joined some initiatives like the RE100, which is about renewable energy by 100%. We recently joined also the UN Women's Empowerment initiative. And in addition to this, for example, we also hired a global diversity officer. So we created one position because we say within the company, we want to gain this advantage of diverse teams on each and every level. So we created this position and hired somebody in a global responsibility within the company who is supporting this.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, thank you guys so much for explaining what your companies do and what their goals are. Really exciting stuff.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
When you return to Indonesia and Germany, do you think you'll recommend working in Korea to your friends or colleagues?
I mean, it's not clear if I will return to Germany, but at least what I
Oh,
can
so
tell
you're
you
here for
is,
good. You're here to stay.
I mean, perhaps I will stay forever. It depends also on the success we have in Korea. No, but I would definitely recommend Korea to everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Same with Daniel. I like the passionate people that work in Korea. And if you're passionate about your work, I will definitely recommend Korea.
Okay. That's what I
Fantastic.
wanted to hear, I guess. Okay. Thank you, too, for being on our show. Invest Korea Live today, we're joined by guests from foreign invested companies that are envisioning a future here in Korea. Okay, that's it for Invest Korea Live. Thank you for joining us, and remember to invest in Korea.